The medical insurance plan that begins at the age of 60. Medi60 from Sri Lanka Insurance. Call 0112 357 357.
In a few moments, the news.
Sri Lanka Insurance, like a father, like a mother.
This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The time is 1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Here's the news edited by Catherine Pereira and read by Ramesh Pires. First, the headlines. The President arrived in Parliament to attend the ongoing parliamentary debate today. Minister Johnston Fernandez says that the government is not ready to work against the Constitution. Former President of the Sri Lanka Bar Association says that solutions to the prevailing economic crisis should be sought in a responsible manner. The National Fertilizer Secretariat says that distribution of fertilizer for the Yala season has commenced. And in news overseas, the UN says 1,563 civilians killed in Ukraine since the Russian invasion. And now the local news in detail. President Gotabaya Rajapaksa arrived in Parliament to attend the session this morning and to listen to the ongoing parliamentary debate. The President who arrived at the Parliament complex was welcomed by the members of the Parliament of the ruling party. The PMD reported members of Parliament gave a resounding round of applause and welcomed the President as he entered the chamber during the second reading of the surcharge tax bill. Minister Johnston Fernandez says that the government is not ready to work against the Constitution and therefore the President will not resign from his post. He made these remarks while joining the parliamentary debate on the present crisis in the country. He said that the opposition leader has understood the present situation and expressed that he will support to solve the present crisis faced by the people. Meanwhile, Parliamentarian Lakshman Kiriyala said in Parliament that the main cause of food shortage is banning the import of chemical fertilizer. He also pointed out that if the government cannot provide solutions for the people's problems such as food, clothing, housing, then the government is violating the Constitution. Former President of the Sri Lanka Bar Association, Presidential Councillor U.R. De Silva says that solutions to the prevailing economic crisis has to be found in a peaceful manner. He made these remarks participating at the Subharati program of the SLBC this morning. He added, every legal effort will be taken to resolve the present crisis. He pointed out that political groups should have pointed solutions to the impending crisis if they had prior knowledge. This news broadcast comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
The medical insurance plan that begins at the age of 60. Medi60 from Sri Lanka Insurance.
The National Fertilizer Secretariat says that the distribution of fertilizer for the Yala season has commenced. Director of the Secretariat, Chandana Lokuhevake, pointed out that there is a noticeable increase in yield using organic and biofertilizer. He added that permission has been granted by the government to import certain chemical fertilizers. He noted permission has been granted to import 33,000 metric tons of chemical fertilizer for the tea plantation sector. The High Commission of India in Sri Lanka stated that ships freighting fuel such as diesel and petrol supplied under Indian credit line arrived during the last 24 hours. In a Twitter post, they said one consignment each of 36,000 metric tons of petrol and 40,000 metric tons of diesel have reached the country. They said the cumulative supply of various types of fuel under the Indian assistance now stands at over 270,000 metric tons. Speaker Mahinda Yapa said in a special statement in Parliament yesterday that parliamentary democracy will fail if the current situation in the country couldn't be resolved within the framework of democracy. Otherwise, the lives of thousands of innocent people will end in tragedy. The Speaker made these remarks addressing the whole House before commencing a two-day debate on the worsening economic and political crisis in the country. And that ends local news.
the medical insurance plan that begins at the age of 60. Medi 60 from Sri Lanka Insurance. A health insurance plan to honor our most valued elders by the protectors of the nation. We now give our treasured senior citizens access to the very best medical insurance, specially tailored for anyone over 60. What's more, you don't need medical screening to access this policy. And Medi 60 covers a wide range of illnesses. Only from Sri Lanka Insurance. Call 0112 357 357.
Following a recent decision by the Cabinet of Ministers, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs has initiated action to temporarily close down the Sri Lanka Embassy in Oslo, the Kingdom of Norway, the Sri Lanka Embassy in Baghdad, the Republic of Iraq, and the Sri Lanka Consulate General in Sydney, with effect from 30th of this month. The decision with regard to the temporary closures of the two missions and a post was taken by the government of Sri Lanka following careful deliberation. It is a part of a general restructuring of Sri Lanka's diplomatic representation overseas, undertaken by the Foreign Ministry in the context of the current economic situation and foreign currency constraints faced by the country. And that was the main news story.
Watch Life is brought to you by
More prizes, more gains with CIB New Year offers. Valuable gifts for every bill. 20% discount for bank cards until 10th of April. Visit CIB today.
The area residents of Katueva are complaining that a huge wild elephant is roaming free in the vicinity of villages and destroying all the cultivations and causing immense damage to residents and their houses. They request the relevant authorities from the Hambantota Wildlife Reserve to take action to chase the said elephant to the forest cover. And that was Watchlight. A bulletin of world news is next.
More prizes, more gains with CIB New Year offers. Valuable gifts for every bill. 20% discount for bank cards until 10th of April. Visit CIB today.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
No matter what anyone says, for your lease, visit the Leasing Mahagedara. People's Leasing, friendly leasing Mahagedara. More information from the nearest People's Leasing branch.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
First, the headlines of the world news. The UN says 1,563 civilians killed in Ukraine since Russian invasion. Russians have withdrawn from Kiev environs. Blood clot risk higher for 6 months after having the COVID virus. Now the world news in detail. The United Nations Human Rights Agency says as of Tuesday, at least 1,563 civilians, including 130 children, have been killed in Ukraine since the Russian invasion on February 24th. The Office of the UN High Commission for Human Rights says 1,076 of deaths were reported in areas including Kiev, Kharkiv, Cherniv and Kherson. The remaining 487 were confirmed in the eastern regions of Donetsk and Luhansk. The OHCHR also reports that 2,213 civilians were injured. Most of the casualties were caused by explosives, including shelling, missiles and airstrikes. A senior Pentagon official says Russian troops have completed their withdrawal from the area around Kiev. But more evidence is emerging of indiscriminate killings of residents. The senior defense official said that Russian forces have withdrawn from around the northern city of Cherniv as well. The official said that they have seen indications that the pullout was to reconsolidate and resupply troops in Belarus and in Russia. The official also said the eastern port city of Mariupol remains isolated, but he says the city does not seem to be under siege. A study from Sweden suggests that after COVID infection, there is an increased risk of developing serious blood clots for the next 6 months. The research found people with severe COVID and those infected during the first wave had the highest clot risk. The researchers say this highlights the importance of being vaccinated against the virus. A major UK study found blood clots can also occur after vaccination, but the risk is far smaller. Back to the headlines of the world news. The UN says 1,563 civilians killed in Ukraine since Russian invasion. Russians have withdrawn from Kiev environs. Blood clot risk higher for 6 months after having the COVID virus. And that concludes World News.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
For your wheel lease, visit the Leasing Mahagedara. People's Leasing, friendly leasing Mahagedara. More information from the nearest People's Leasing branch.
People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
Development News is brought to you by Let's take all out of the coconut tree and make the island thriving and prosperous. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928.
21 rural roads in remote farmer villages in the Suryaveva Divisional Secretariat area have been reconstructed. At present, all reconstruction work of rural road network in the area has already been completed. Facilities have been provided to take their products to the town. The Road Development Authority has spent 95 million rupees for the reconstruction activities. And that was Development News.
Development News was brought to you by the coconut tree is well grown in almost all the parts of the island. It is an exceptional source of extra income. The shell, the husk and almost all the parts of the coconut tree makes you money, providing you with an excellent extra source of income. It will also help to nourish the economy of the country. You will be guided with all necessary informations regarding the coconut cultivation, with the novel cultivation techniques and all other related and upgraded informations by the Coconut Research Institute, Lunavilla. Call our hotline 1928. WhatsApp 070 400 1928. Sports News is brought to you by
Sampath Bank. We present your future.
Moving on to sports news, the final match between Kandy and Jaffna teams of the National Super League 4-day tournament is being held in Galle today. The Kandy team won the toss and elected to bat first. Short while ago, they had reached 123 runs for no loss. And that was sports news.
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB You Trust.
Business News, sponsored by National Savings Bank, the safest place for your money.
In business news, the Board of Investment today announced that it has received 33 investment proposals worth $1,412 million in the first quarter of this year. This value includes investments of 22 new projects into diverse sectors in energy projects, including fuel and renewable sources, heavy industry, logistic and IT infrastructure sectors, as well as investments into 11 project expansions. And that was business news.
Business News, sponsored by
Cash through NSP globally and win wonderful gifts locally. Will you be the lucky winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee? 50 gold sovereigns for the top prize winner of the NSP Golden Jubilee. Scooters for the 10 second prize winners. iPhones for the 10 third prize winners. Mountain bikes for the 29 fourth prize winners. From October 1st, 2021 to December 31st, 2022. Remit a minimum of $100 or an equivalent amount in any foreign currency 3 times through NSB You Trust.
A media release by the Colombo Tea Traders Association says the current situation of the shortage of fuel and electricity is a major threat, resulting in the disruption of daily activities in the plantation sector. The transport of green leaf from the fields of the tea smallholders and plantations to the factories is virtually bordering a collapse. The manufacturers are unable to process the harvest on time due to lack of diesel for the generators. It further said the likelihood of some factories closing down due to the current situation is real. And that ends economic news. The weather report is next. And moving on to the weather report, the Met Department predicts heavy showers above 100 millimeters at some places in the central, Sabaragamu's southern, Uva and north central provinces and in Ampara and Kurunegala districts. On the apparent northward relative motion of the sun, it is going to be directly over the latitudes of Sri Lanka from the 5th to the 15th of April this year. The nearest areas of Sri Lanka over which the sun is overhead today are Mount Vinia, Porlasgamu, Kottava, Bope, Maskelia, Gurutalava and Vetikumbura at about 12:30 noon. And that ends the weather report. And to end this news broadcast, a recap of the main news headlines. The President arrived in Parliament to attend the ongoing parliamentary debate today. Minister Johnston Fernandez says that the government is not ready to work against the Constitution. Former President of the Sri Lanka Bar Association says that solutions to the prevailing economic crisis should be sought in a responsible manner. The National Fertilizer Secretariat says that distribution of fertilizer for the Yala season has commenced. In news overseas, the UN says 1,563 civilians killed in Ukraine since the Russian invasion. And with that, we conclude this news broadcast from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.